recording going. All right, so drawing people is what we're talking about. And I would love to hear from you guys anything that you feel when you're drawing people comes up for you that's challenging. Anything that comes up that's difficult to draw. All right.
I made a little girl in her pajamas.
Girls with pajamas?
No, I made a girl with pajamas.
Oh, you made a girl with pajamas. Oh, cool. I like it. All right, thank you, Amelia. We're going to go over to Ethan and then down to Katiana.
I am making a comic book, and I am drawing people in it, so I sort of know how to draw people.
Yay, awesome. And people make an appearance in a lot of artwork, don't they? Comic books, books, all kinds of things. If anything that you're drawing, a lot of times there's a good chance there's people in there. So this is a nice thing to learn, and we're gonna break it up over the semester because it's a lot of information. So we're just gonna do little bits all the way through. Yes, Katiana.
What's hard for me to draw is their like feet and their hands.
Feet and hands, that is a really common one. That is a really common one. Feet and hands. Okay, and we got Ethan's working on a comic book. Cool. Anybody else have anything you want to throw out? Yes, Willie? I'm so sorry, Willie. I couldn't quite hear it. Could you maybe type it? Do you want to? Does anybody want to say hi to Mazzy really quick?
Yes, I do.
Mazzy, do you want to say hi? One more time. Oh, she's being shy. I'll get her in here before the end. I'll get her in here. Let's see. We have, you know what? It says Heather B, but I know that's not your name. Jonah, right? Is it Jonah? Okay. Yes, Jonah.
Do I have to draw a human? Can I draw like a human with tentacles and stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. So the things that we're going to talk about are going to help you with drawing characters as well. So it doesn't have to be exactly a person. It could be a really cartoon-like figure. It could be
a fairy
with other characteristics. What was that?
Could it be a fairy?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, who else do we have? Ethan, yes.
My question is, in my comic book, I'm making my character is a cheese person, and his name is Cheese Man, and so it's basically just a cheese character.
Nice, Cheese Man. I like it. And then Ava, what are you holding up there? That's really cool. Who is that guy?
That's like the first cartoon person I've ever drawn.
Nice.
Wait, Ava, can I hold it up again?
Sure, I'll hold it up again. It was the face is kind of weird.
You're texting me privately. You're texting me privately instead of to everyone.
Oh, all right, we got Cheese Man. We got Ava's character. Nice, you guys. And then also Willie. Yes, I hear you. Animate people. And these, what we're talking about, we'll carry over to that too, Willie, to animate people also. Okay. All right. So
trouble drawing anime people.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. We'll go over things that help with people in general or with characters in general, and then we'll talk about little ways that you can create the characteristics of something like anime or for Disney, the heads are a little bigger, the eyes are a little bigger. There's little stylistic characteristics that we can add that make it look more like those styles. Okay, so let's go ahead and start doing a little demo. So I'm gonna draw in the camera here for you guys so you guys can see. And we're gonna talk about a couple things that tend to come up when we're drawing people. We'll definitely talk about the hands and feet one, too. And we're probably gonna do a whole session on hands and feet at some point because hands and feet are tough. They're super tough, but we'll go over some tricks on that too. Okay, so for one thing I wanna notice before the first thing I wanna talk about as we talk about people is clothes. When you have clothes on, and I actually wore a long sleeve shirt with a cuff here. So when you have clothes and you have the wrinkles in the clothes, if you're careful with those wrinkles, it gives you a lot more detail in your drawing and it makes it look a lot more realistic. It's a really nice way to show some information about your person and the shape of your person. If you have a cuff, some buttons, maybe some seams, all of those things. Go ahead.
I'm drawing short sleeve.
Short sleeve is fine too. Even with short sleeve, there will be some things that we can show with our clothing. And I'm going to do a demo here in 1 second. Let me get Mary. Yes?
I'm trying to make a little comic, and for that I'm gonna need to draw hands. So
Yeah, I hear you. I'm going to do a little bit about the clothes and we'll go right into hands. I know hands is a tough one. I know it. All right. So for the clothes, let's say that you had an arm and an elbow, right? So if you have an arm and an elbow and you draw it like this, it's going to be really basic. We don't really know a lot of information about that. It kind of just looks like an angle, right? But if we take that same shape and we've got our arm, and then we come in like we have a sleeve with maybe a little bit of wrinkles, right? Gathered around the sleeve. And then we come out into maybe a cuff on the sleeve. Maybe we have a little button, right? Maybe you can even see with a light dot, maybe you can even see the seam, all right, on the arm. That's gonna give us a lot more information. So I want you to start thinking about the clothes. Let's say that we had some pants. Same thing. If we have pants and we just have the basic shape of pants, we don't have a lot of information, right?
Can we draw something than a human?
What was that?
Can we draw something different than a person?
Absolutely. So if you're drawing something different than a person, do you have anything in mind, Tyler? You're muted, just so you know, in case. Okay.
No, but I
Okay.
want to draw something different than a person.
Yeah, no worries. You can draw any kind of character that you'd like, but I'd like you to think a little bit about some of the things we're talking about. If you have a character, even if it's an animal character and it has some clothes on or even a scarf, I want you to think about the folds. And the cool thing about this is you can look at your own clothes and you can start to make observations. The more we observe, the more realistic our drawings look. And that includes observing the way our bodies are, our bones, our muscles. The more we start to pay attention and really look at what we're seeing, the better our drawings become. All right, that attention to detail. So if we have a pair of pants, super basic, but let's just say we make those pants jeans. And maybe we have a little strip of fabric there, right? And then there could be the seam at the top where the zipper is in the center. And then we could come down, instead of having the legs straight down, maybe you have one knee bent. And that way you can give a little more information because we have those wrinkles behind the knee. And the leg comes down. Maybe the other leg's gonna overlap, come out in front. And a lot of times when you're wearing jeans, there will be a couple little folds in the fabric at the bottom as well. So maybe we have this pant leg coming down. There's a couple wrinkles in the fabric at the bottom on each leg. Now, if we went in there and also added some pockets, maybe we have the zipper fold on the fabric. All of a sudden, we start to have a little more information. All right, we start to think, oh, okay, these are jeans. I get an idea of who this person is. Those little details make a big difference so that we have more information about our story. All right, so I want you to think about clothes. There's one more part of the clothes that I'm gonna throw in here too. Nice, Ava, yeah. Exactly. Yep, so we're giving ourselves some more details, some more information about our characters. Whoa, look at this. Yeah, you guys are getting it. This is great. So like you can see on these examples, this can be a character that doesn't have to be a person. It can also be with exaggerated features like cartoons or anime. All right, so it doesn't have to be super realistic, but these are still gonna carry over, these little details. One more thing I'm gonna show you here. Okay, so let's say we have the top of somebody's outfit here, right? Right around the neck. So if you have, let's say the person has their neck and their arms, and let's just say that the shirt comes straight across, right? We don't get a lot of information on that, but if we make a collar or we make the shirt rounded, like the top of a t-shirt, then we start to understand a little better. So let's go ahead, whoops, let me get my screen there. So we've got neck, and then when we go into the collar, we have the collar come down. Now the collar is actually gonna wrap, and that's another really important thing when we're drawing people. Notice things that wrap. So this is wrapping around my neck, so it's rounded. So if you get that rounded shape, that's gonna help you to show what's going on in the collar. See, so it comes around the neck. Around the neck. And maybe you can see the buttons going down. All right. So that's another area of the clothing that can be super helpful. And we have Mazzy doing some background music for us today, if you can hear that song.
What song is she singing?
All right. Okay, so these are just a couple things here that are gonna help us to create some more realistic drawing. And I'm gonna go ahead and continue with my demo, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about hands. All right. Okay. I'm gonna give you one moment here. Does anybody have any questions so far? And you don't have to, this takes a while. We're just kind of working on it, practicing with it. Another thing I actually wanna mention here while we're talking about this is that drawing people can be tough. It can be challenging. So if you find yourself, I'm gonna get you 1 second, Jonah, I'll go right to you. So if you find yourself frustrated, like, this is super tough and I'm getting angry about it, just take a second, stand up, you can start over, you can shake it out, okay? Because it's a challenging thing, so I don't want you to get so frustrated that you don't want to keep going with it. So if you want to get up or take a break or just watch for a little bit, you can do that too. Okay, yes, Jonah.
I'm making a monster, not a human, so it's not gonna have any clothes. So after you do the hands and arms, can you teach us how to draw a body without clothes, like for a monster?
Totally, that sounds good.
Like a body with fur? Or scales, or I don't know what it's gonna be yet.
Yeah, you know what? We'll do a little talk about that. Also, the same thing if somebody has tight clothes, like superhero or something like that, that comes in handy too. So yeah, we will definitely talk about that. Okay. All right, so for the hands, oh, nice. Look at that, Ava. We got jeans, we got the whole outfit on now. I love it. Thank you. Nice work, you guys. You guys are working so hard too. You're really working diligently here on this. Okay, so hands. So when we look at somebody's hands, the main thing that most of us think about is the fingers. And we start to draw the fingers. And what happens is that a lot of times when we go to draw hands, or something that I see happen in my own artwork and just kind of a common mistake, is when we go to draw the fingers, we draw the fingers and then we don't have much of a palm on the inside. So what I want you to think about when you're drawing fingers is about drawing the palm of the hand, this shape right here. It doesn't have to be the perfect shape, but make sure that you get that in there, because if you even start with that, shape, I'm just gonna do it with dots so we can kind of see that the palm is in there. All right, then I can go through, I can add my thumb, I can add my fingers, and then you don't have to get them all the right height, but the pinky is obviously gonna be a little smaller. And then my hand starts to look a little more realistic, right? If I make sure that I get that palm in there. Okay, so if you have your hand and you don't have the palm, it starts to look kind of like claws or like feathers or something like that. Okay, so make sure that you're getting the palm in there. Now also notice if a figure is far away, you're probably not gonna see all of the fingers spread out. It's probably just gonna look like one shape. Okay, so you can even have, let's say that I have a shape of a hand and I have the palm, I'm just kind of blocking this off here. But I have the palm and I have the fingers and I have the thumb and the fingers are all in here, right? Like if you think of all those shapes, if the hand is far away, you're probably really just gonna see more of this outside shape here. You know, it would come down into the arm, into a sleeve or something like that, coming down, but it's gonna be more that outside shape. So if a figure is really far away, you're probably not gonna see all the fingers spread out that well, okay? Because it's gonna be more just the outside shape. So we're gonna spend more time on hands. I'm gonna do a little talk on feet here too, just an introduction. But these are two things just starting off that are gonna help you with your hands. Nice. I love them. You're gonna have a whole page full, Ava. All right, so with these things in mind, you can start to work on the hands thinking of those. Also notice too, you don't always, if somebody is standing and they have their hands in their feet and hands are really tough for you, another thing that I do, and I honest to goodness do it in my paintings, in my big paintings even, I don't want to draw like 20 different hands sometimes. So I'll turn my character in a way that I can only see one hand. Maybe the other hand's in a pocket or maybe the other hand's behind. So that way you don't have to spend a really long time drawing a whole bunch of hands. So you can be thinking about how your characters are positioned so that you don't have to draw all the hands and all the fingers all the time. It's another thing to think about, okay? All right, let's
character in several different outfits. See,
yeah, right. Oh, that's so cool. I love it. You guys have all such different styles too. Let's see, Ethan, yes. I'm just gonna leave this up in case.
Can I write in my comic book and try all the stuff?
Yes, yes. So that is a really, really great question. If you guys have anything that you're working on, you are more than welcome to start using these principles that we're talking about and start using them in something else that you're working on, okay? So this doesn't have to be a separate sheet of paper that you're only doing this. You're more than welcome to start working, incorporating this into your other projects, okay? And that being said, and some of you guys are already doing it, but oh, nice. Katiana, I love those. I haven't done one of those in a while. And that is a really good way to study hands too, sure is.
Make hand turkeys sometimes.
Yeah, I haven't done one of those in a long time. I forgot about them. That's really fun. So when you guys are working on this stuff, also, some of you guys are already doing it, but I want you to make sure that if you ever want to show me anything, what we're working on here or something that you're working on outside of class that you want some tips or some feedback on, I always love to see your artwork. So never hesitate to send me something. I can't quite see it there, Jonah. Oh, there we go. Nice. That's the start of your monster. Cool. So I'm going to do a little touch on feet, and then we're going to talk about, like Jonah was saying, when a body is a monster or maybe has tight clothes, superhero costume, anything like that, where you're not focusing on the folds of the clothes, you're focusing more on the shape, which is tough, I got to say, but we're going to work on it, and we're going to keep on working on it through this semester. Okay. So
It's a hand turkey.
Nice. We have another hand turkey. Awesome. Miri, did you have a question or are you stretching?
I'm just stretching.
Okay, perfect. I like to see it. I want you guys to get up and stretch whenever you need to. You can even get up and touch your toes or shake it out for a second because I know you guys have long days here, okay? Okay, so there's a little bit about hands. Let's talk a little bit about feet. So with feet, a lot of times kind of a common mistake that we make is we'll draw the heel of the foot and we'll have it come forward, the ankle, and we just have it come straight across, right? Something like that. Now with feet, if you think about it on your own foot or a lot of shoes, not all shoes, but most shoes, there's an arch on the foot and there's a little lift at the top where the toes are. I'm going to show you what I mean. So if I have this foot here and then I come and I want to draw it, I'll have the ankle coming down. Maybe I have a sock on. And then when I go into the heel of the foot, there's a little bit of a curve at the heel. And then when you bring the line forward, there's a little bit of an arch in the foot as well. And then the toe usually lifts up a tiny bit. Okay, so let's say that this is a hiking boot type situation here, and we'd have our bow and a couple laces, and then this comes forward. And this is a little bit of a cartoony foot, but you get the idea. And then we would have maybe a sole coming over this way, like that. Okay, so this is exaggerated so you can see it. It's a little more cartoony, but there's the arch and a little lift on the toe. And in most situations, that's gonna help your feet to look more realistic. It's the same thing when you do a foot that doesn't have a shoe on. All right, it's a little bit tougher because there's more details in it, but you got your calf muscle, you go down to your ankle. And then when you come out into the foot, you're probably going to see the toes. You probably see the big toe, a couple other toes. Whoops, that's not very to scale. I'm a little bit messed up there in the front, but there's a toe and a couple more toes there, right? So you see the ankle, maybe you'd see an ankle bone, something like that. Okay? So just think about that when you're drawing feet. Same thing with feet. It is really tough to have a bunch of characters with all these feet you got to draw. So sometimes maybe they're turned a little bit so that you don't have the feet all drawn individually. And another thing that I want to actually touch on that is just that when you are drawing people and the feet are going forward, that's kind of a tough angle. Actually, let me grab a boot really here while we're talking about it. All right, so if I'm drawing a foot and I draw it from the side, that makes a little more sense, kind of like the drawing that we were talking about. You see the sole, little lift on the foot, all right? It's a little bit easier to understand. But if we have the foot straight forward, it's kind of tough. It's a little tougher shape. So a lot of times when I'm drawing feet, I actually turn my character a tiny bit so that I can see more of the side of the foot. So there's little choices you can make that make it a little easier to draw. That's okay. You can be right back. Thanks. All right. So that's another thing you can think of. But do notice it though, because if your character is facing forward, you're going to want the way that their foot is positioned to match their ankle and their leg. And I'm actually, while we're touching on this and as we transition into Jonah's work with the body, I'm going to get one more book to show you guys. There's two books that I really like to reference. Let me grab it. What? Oh no, it's actually this one, Body's book. Okay, so two books that I like to reference, and these are a little more in-depth if you realize you really like drawing people. Yes, Noah? Just one moment. Yeah.
I want the color monster.
The color monster? I'll get it in just 1 second. You want to come say hi really quick to everybody?
No, I just want a new dinosaur movie.
Okay, I will get it for you in 1 second. So this right here, if you can wait patiently, then you get to watch it. This right here is a book called Drawing People. It's by Barbara Bradley. I really like it because it just gives you all these different ways that you can see people moving and how you can draw that. So if you are super into this and you really like it, I can give you some suggestions of some books that really study the way that we move. But this is a different book. This is actually a Pilates book about anatomy. But the reason I'm referencing it is because the more you understand your bones and your muscles, the more you learn about it, it actually helps you with your drawings. It's going to help us as we go into this work about monsters and superheroes and that kind of thing. The more you understand.
I learned about the skeletal system.
What was that?
I learned about the skeletal system.
Yeah, and I think most of you
have to draw a round skull.
Right. Yeah, I think most of you have, and that's actually really helpful when you're drawing people, especially when you start to draw the shape of the body. Okay, so think about that stuff as you're drawing it. If you've learned about it or you remember seeing the skeleton model or any of that stuff that you've learned about, it's going to help you with your drawing. All right, so we just a little review here. We had our hands. We talked about using the palm and the shape of the hand a little bit more than thinking about every individual finger. A couple little tips on it. The foot, we try not to make it super flat, and we pay attention to the angle of your ankle and the angle of your foot. All right. And then also we talked about clothing. And when we talked about clothing, we talked about the folds of the clothes. So pay attention to where the ankle is, where the joints are in general, your shoulder, your knee, your ankle, all of those areas probably have a couple little folds in the clothes. And then the details, cuffs, buttons, all of that kind of thing here. All right, and Amelia, I'm just doing a little review real quick. Let's see, and then around the collar, wrap around. Make sure you can see how it wraps around the neck. Okay, Tyler, yes.
Can I show you what I do?
Yay, yeah, I'd love to see it.
I didn't draw a person, but I drew this cute kitty.
Oh, nice. So that collar, perfect. Wrap around the neck, very good. So you can see in Tyler's how you can use these principles and you can apply them to something else. You can apply them to animals, you can apply them to any other characters that you're drawing. And even anywhere you see fabric, you can think about that too. Maybe you have a blanket that's over a couch or on the floor or something. Think about folds and think about how that fabric looks, okay? So let's get to body. This is probably going to be the last thing we'll have time for because this is a tough one too. But the body, we want to think about the shape of the body. And we want to think about the bones and the muscles too. Let's see. Cool, Amelia. Wow, we got some settings coming in and everything. I love it. And I love this hairdo. Do you like to do your own hair like that, Amelia?
Can I show you one more thing I added?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Ooh, Julia, I just noticed that you're the writing artist. I like that too.
Can I see your thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. Let me keep these up while we're talking here. So we've got the clothes here. I'm gonna try to keep this in the corner and then I'm gonna put the hand one. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and figure out how I can put this onto your teacher website too. We'll have the recording and then I'll have these pages on there too. Okay. So we've got the hands and the feet, little intro on the feet. And then we've also got the clothing there too. And I'm gonna leave this up for a second before we get going on our body. So if anybody else wants to reference that one more time, you can. All right, and does anybody else have any questions before we get going on the body too?
Can I show you around it?
Yeah, yes, please. All right, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and put this down just for a moment so that I can get started with our bodies and the shape of the body here. So a couple things that we can talk about on that. Let me just slide this underneath. When we're talking about bodies, when it changes obviously with what kind of person it is, how old the person is, if it's a boy or a girl, or what the just kind of what the shape of their body is. It changes a little bit. So always think of your observations. You can look at your own, especially if you're talking about hands or feet, something that's really easy to see, and your joints. All right, start to observe those. And as we're talking about these things, let's start, for instance, with that same idea where we had the elbow. If we have the elbow, we're going to come down. You're actually going to see the elbow, that little knob that's in the bottom of the elbow, right? So it's not necessarily an angle straight across. There's actually that little edge from your bone. So think about that when you're drawing it. There's a little extra kind of pointy edge on it. And then when you come forward into your wrist, all right, depending on how strong you are, you might have a little bit of a rounded edge on it. Some of it might be more straight across. But think about that, including your muscles when you come in to create the top of the arm. So you might have a little muscle coming in for a crease and then coming forward. When you come forward on your arm, this top edge is going to be straight. The bottom edge tends to be rounded. I'm actually going to see if I can pull my sleeve up. Okay, so see how I'm rounded down on the bottom edge? Kind of depends on the angle there too, I guess. But the bottom edge can be a little bit more rounded. Let me get myself positioned. All right, so that bottom edge is a little bit more rounded. There's just that little bit of muscle generally, and then your elbow has the knob, that little knob on it. So start thinking about that when you're drawing. You can also think about how you're going to come into your wrist. There tends to be another little knob, get out of there, another little knob right there on the top of the wrist before you come into the hand. So think about the joints, and that's going to help your drawing look more realistic. All right, and then maybe you have your hand coming down, and depending on what kind of shape you want for your hand, maybe you're making a fist and it starts to kind of curve back, kind of a thing. That's kind of a goofy fist, but but you'll have some kind of indentation where it gets smaller when you go from your wrist into your hand. So it's not going to be straight lines. It's actually going to get smaller when you come into the wrist there. Okay, so that's a little something with arms. And notice when you're coming into your torso, you can usually see kind of the collarbone or something right up here to show you an indication of where those bones are too. So let's just say that we have a neck going into our arms. Generally, you're going to see a little bit of a bone here. And then as you come down into your arms, let's just start with what it would look like probably for just kind of a general male torso. And we're going to add some details into it here. And these change, right? This is just a basic, but these change. So probably you're going to see a little bit of maybe even if it's a superhero, you might see kind of the indentation where they have their pectoral muscles right here, right? And maybe if it's a superhero, maybe you even see some of those muscles coming down this way, but that's going to affect the line on the outside. So maybe you'll have some indentations like this, right? Coming in where those muscles are. So think about the way that those muscles would look and how you're going to draw in your torso. Okay? Yes, Miri. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'll help you. Okay, just a moment, please. Whoops.
So I made a little comic and I called it Cookies. So there's a cookie jar and then a girl spots the cookie jar. She stands right next to the thing. And then she starts climbing it. And then her mom hears like boom, and she's like, So she goes up the stairs. You can see a tiny foot there. We're going up the stairs. And then she's like, what? Emily! And she's in bed going, and that's the end. So here's my little...
Nice, Mary. Geez, you up pretty far, pretty quick on that. All right, guys, I am going to do a little demo here focusing on legs. And give me 1 second. I'm just gonna get Mazzy situated here first for about 30 seconds. I'll be right back. Go ahead and get your whatever you're working on. Just work on it for another second here. And if you want to show me, have it ready for me. And then we're gonna go over some leg things, some leg tips on how we can draw those, okay? Just 1 moment.
Ethan.
You guys
Yeah.
like my chat?
Look.
Let me see, Ava. Hold it closer. Yes.
Are those Minecraft drawings?
Here, I'll show you mine.
Jeez, man. And just so you know, myself, I didn't rage quit last night. Me and Cole were confused.
Aw, so cute.
After You were you cheating. after you left, while Cole was mining, I put a creeper in the hole that he was in, and it blew him up. And that was funny. Haha. Where is Cole? I can't see his face. It just says Cole the Potato McClimber.
Where's the Cole the Potato McMiner? Or whatever you said. Where's Potato the Potato McMiner?
Julia, it's climber, not miner.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It just says Cole the Potato for me.
It says call the potato climber for me.
I'll just.
Ava!
I want to go outside, but I'm stuck in the horrible abyss.
I'll go outside too. But the dreaded smoke will not let us go outside.
The numbers aren't too bad.
Yeah, I can't go outside. It's bad here.
It's not actually that bad here. The numbers are like 170.
I want to go outside so bad because I can. After when it's lunchtime, I'm gonna go outside. Then I'm gonna either jump on my trampoline.
Hey,
You have a trampoline, no fair.
Why do you have a trampoline
guys?
that you never use,
Are you
Macio?
sad? Are you guys
Yeah, you
sad
should get a
that-
trampoline and put Rosebud on it. She's gonna be
Yeah.
terrified. And she's gonna
are you
love
guys-
it.
I wish I could go in my hot tub.
are you guys-
That'd be awesome if you get in your hot tub.
Tyler.
Hot tub discussion. I came just in time.
Tyler.
Tub. I have a hot tub at my
Hi.
house.
Oh yeah, Paxton, you look a little different over there.
There's Paxi. There's Paxi McWaxy. Is that Paxton?
I think that's.
Wait a second. That's not Paxton.
Yes,
That's Paxton's little sister.
me, Paxton.
No, that's Paxton's little sister. See? I mean, does Paxton even look like that? Paxton is not that small.
Yes, we want.
Yes, I look like that.
No, you do not. You're not that small.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
We know you're
Your
there.
little
We can
sister
see your
says no.
arm in the camera.
Paxtonian, where are you?
1 second, you guys. I am going to check in with Jonah before we finish up class here. Jonah, with your monster, what do you have in mind? Do you know what kind of monster it is? Because I can make this more specific to what you're thinking about. Cool, Katiana. I love that. Ice cream guy.
For arms, it's gonna have tentacles, and then at the bottom, it's gonna have legs like a crab and a lobster.
Whoa, okay. Let's see. So arms like tentacles, legs like a crab, and a lobster. So though the main thing I would say when you're piecing together parts like that, it is really nice to look at an actual crab and lobster and Google, there you go. Exactly. Google Image is really good for that. And I actually do that a lot. I had somebody who commissioned me to do a painting, and he wanted to be a centaur. He wanted to have the body of a horse. It was just a fun painting that he wanted. So
There are centaurs in Harry Potter.
Are there? So I painted it, and I used a lot of reference of just horses jumping and horses doing different things. So if you are thinking crab or lobster and tentacles, definitely think with your tentacles, the way that they're coming out, they usually tend to have kind of like that top layer of skin, and then on the bottom, it comes across, but you can see those little rounded, depending on what angle it's at, those little kind of rounded tentacles coming down, right? Yeah, you got that? Oh, wow, yeah, coming along. Nice. Nice. And then with the you can look to, you know, Google Image or on your shirt even, right? But that bottom, there's kind of the torso, and then there's those little angular, depending on what kind it is, there tends to be a little joints on that too, right? So maybe you have one coming down, another joint. You gotta look at it to see how many there are. And then it comes down to a point, right? And if you're looking at it too, since there's so many, you got to consider which angle they're going to, right? Because if you're looking at the side, there's probably going to be some that are forward and some that maybe are going the opposite direction a little bit. Something like that. Right? That is quite an undertaking there, Jonah. I'm excited to see it. Does the character have a name? Not yet? Nice. Well, that's a really cool idea. So I think we are getting into the last 10 minutes. I know we're right before lunch too. So I'm going to hold up these images again to make sure that you guys can see if there's something else that you would like to see the reference. This one specifically to Jonah, we got his tentacles and his, his legs, multiple legs for his crustacean. And then also we had our quick intro to hands and feet. Just starting to understand our hands and feet a little bit better. And then also we had an introduction to clothes, some things that we can start to think about when we're drawing clothes on our figures. Now, all of us are going to have certain things that we're a little better at and certain things that we have a harder time with, that we struggle more with. So just know that that is every single one of us. I have a really tough time with hands. I like faces. Faces are a little bit easier for me, but hands are tough. Bodies are tough. All right. Oh, cool. What do we got there, Katiana? Look at that guy.
It's my stuffed animal, and then I drew a picture of it.
Oh, nice. Nice. I like the way you put the clothes in there, and the feet look good too.
Can I sing?
What was that?
I have something.
Yeah, let's see it.
Okay, so we have this science comic about sharks,
Mm-hmm.
and part of it is this. It's referencing for like a myth, Hawaiian myth of a shark king that could shapeshift into human form. See that? Legs and then the shark.
Yeah.
Something a little simpler, but like still kind of like that. I got the feet and the legs kind of like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Cool.
Just a first draft.
Nice, you guys. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording just so you guys know. I'm going to stop the recording so we can finish sharing here.